Okay. Becoming a teacher of reading. We are group 3. Me, myself, is Marizaan and Oscar. Okay, let's quickly have a look. So making sense of print is reading. Okay, so looking at a sentence and understanding the different letters that is on a page, that is what reading is. Okay, reading is beautiful if we understand the concept of it. Okay, the reading process consists out of different components. Okay, this is essential to understanding word recognition and phonics. Okay, so in order for us to actually understand reading, we need to be able to look at word recognitions. So we need to recognize the words and we need to look at the phonics. Okay, but that is not just the only thing that has an effect to reading. We also have different researchers who has theories about reading. Okay, let's have a look at the different theories of the reading process. Okay, Goodman, 1969, he believed that there is no variation between skilled readers and the latest readers. Okay, this means that people who have been reading for 20 years and people who have been reading for 5 years, there's no difference between them. Okay, but everybody is basically on the same level of reading. Then we have Smith, 1973. He believed that reading is not taught, it is learned. Okay, so he believed that a teacher cannot teach you how to read, you need to just learn it by yourself. Okay, Rainier and Politic, 1989. Individual text rather than whole text. Okay, so he believed that we look at different individual text to understand reading. Okay, so he looked at theories of the reading process. So he believed that each one of those letters has a participation to understanding what we are reading and not just the whole sentence. Then we have Toole, 1991. Text needs to be decoded to understand. He believed that the decoding of letters, words, sounds, and phonics is all needed to understand what we are busy with. Okay, and the last one is Erie and Adams, 1999. They believe that the purpose of reading is for comprehension. So they believe that the main goal of reading is to actually understand, to comprehend what we are reading. Okay. Chapter 1, knowing about the reading process. So before we can just start jumping in with reading, we first need to know what the reading process is all about. Okay, reading cannot be taught, it must be learned. Not all of the reading happens at school. When a student enjoys reading, they will enjoy to learn to read better. So that means that when I'm reading something, I need to like it in order to enjoy it. Okay, if I do not like reading, I'm not going to try to progress in it. Okay, so if I do not like the topic, then I'm not going to read it. Okay, so let's say, for instance, I have a book that is about space. Okay, I do not like space, I like gardening. So of course I'm not going to expand my knowledge about space because it is not something that I enjoy. Okay, before we start teaching reading, we need to ask ourselves 2 different questions. The first one is we need to ask ourselves, what is reading? Okay, the second one is we need to ask ourselves what we want to achieve. Okay, what do we want to achieve depends on the different things that we want to achieve. Okay, so we have the fluency of reading. So our students do we want to teach our students to be able to read fast and go fluently through the reading? Or do we want our children to understand the words and be able to understand what they are reading? Okay, knowing what we want to achieve, we can start to look at methods to teach reading. Okay, there are 2 different methods to teaching reading. The first one is the decoding, and the second one is language comprehension. Okay, decoding is all about understanding letters, the sounds, and the phonics. We need to understand what those mean together. Okay, so that is being able to look at a word, listen to the sound, see the pattern, identify what it is. Okay, the second one is language comprehension. Okay, language comprehension is all about actually understanding. I need to understand what this chapter is about. I need to understand what this chapter wants to teach me. Okay, I need to have a grasp on what needs to be comprehended to be able to learn from it. Okay, let's have a look at understanding the reading process. So we know that reading is complex. Reading is not easy. It is not just about taking a book, picking it up, opening it, and boom, I'm reading. No, there's different things that we need to do before we can just be a reader. Okay, there are different views and perspectives regarding reading. Okay, many people see reading as different things. Okay, teachers of reading need to understand the theoretical underpinning of pathologies. This means that teachers who are teaching reading needs to actually understand the different theories that there are towards reading to be able to make it work. Okay, I first need to know where reading has come from in order for me to take reading to a next level and to progress someone to read better. Okay, reading works together with decoding and comprehension. We already talked about this. We talked about the decoding of the letters and we talk about understanding the comprehension. There are certain things that children need to know. Okay, children need to know about the relationship between the letters and sounds. Okay, so children need to know the relationship between what my word looks like, what my letters look like, and what they sound like, okay, in order for them to read it correctly and to pronounce it correctly. Then children need to have word banks. Okay, so basically this is your own dictionary in your head. This means that if now I'm reading this book, I'm reading, I'm saving those words in my head. The word banks is all about the different words that we have and having a meaning, our own understanding of the meaning. So when I go and I read in my next book, I see some words that look familiar, I go to my word bank in my head and I automatically know this is what it means. For instance, let's look at the word making. My understanding of making is that it is something that we are creating, okay? So these are different words that is in my personal word bank, okay? The relation to reading. If there is no relation to what I'm reading and my real life, I'm not going to enjoy reading and I'm not going to want to do it, okay? There needs to be an understanding about what I'm doing now and what I'm reading. For a child in school, I'm not going to like something that has nothing to do with me. So let's say, for instance, I'm a grade 5 learner and my teacher is trying to teach me about the democratic elections that's coming up. That has nothing to do with me. I'm a grade 5 student. All I want to know is about when is the next cartoon and who's going to win the rugby. So I need to have a relation, something that is happening in my real life, what I'm reading. I want to read about school, family, friends, rugby, soccer. Those are all of the things that has a relation to me in order for me to have a relation to reading. They need to hear the sounds and see the patterns as well. So children need to see, okay, this is what the phonic looks like. This is the pattern. That is how it's going to sound. Okay, what the reading process consists of. Okay, the reading process consists out of making sense. Okay, we have the making sense has 3 tiers. Okay, we have the semantic knowledge, syntactic knowledge, and graphophonic knowledge. The first one, semantic knowledge. That is our experiences. Okay, so it's everything that we have experienced. Syntactic knowledge is about the patterns of language that we can recognize. Okay, so this is everything. We take our experiences and we take all of the patterns of the different languages that we have experiences of to understand it. Last of all, we have the graphophonic knowledge. That is the sounds and of course the phonics. So in order for us to make sense of the text, we need to hear the sounds, we need to make sense of the language, and we need to relate to our own experiences. These 3 all goes together in order for us to understand the reading process. Okay, using phonics to read. In order for one to understand that they're reading and visualizing, we as teachers must make sense of teaching phonics. Okay, reading is a visual process. We are all aware of this. Okay, So in order for a student to actually understand what they're reading, to understand the visualizing process, they need to be able to make use of phonics. Now, we all made a phonic poster about the different sounds that we get. So graphical phonics is all about the pictures, okay? It is all about understanding, seeing, and then making a relation to what that is, okay? Reading develops over time. There are non-lexical roots and lexile roots. Non-lexile roots are for sounding out words, okay? So that is actually saying apple, tree, garden, space. Okay, that is non-lexical. So that is for sounding out the words. Lexile roots are for recognizing words. That is being able to see, okay, an apple, okay, that is an apple. Visual, that is a visual. Okay, so that is all about what phonics is about.
Thank you, Marizaan, for that. So I have chapter 4, how do children develop as readers? As Marizaan said right now, reading develop over time. And before any of that can happen, you have to evaluate the learners thoroughly. We need to evaluate the learner's strengths, weaknesses, skills, and test their prior knowledge. The first step is to develop children as readers to identify what is needed, which is to understand the entire world of reading. Now let's go to the next slide. In this chapter, they talk about all the components when it comes to understanding the nature of print. The best way for children is to learn is through experience. The same applies to development of reading. Children grow up with print, they are surrounded by it on a daily basis. It is one thing that no one can dodge, and we need to make sense. Print creates meaning to the unknown. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. So now we're going to look at the components of reading. So just to mention a few, the most important one for me is comprehension and phonics fluency. You have to have those three to understand what you are reading. So then we have vocabulary, spelling overview, and phonemic awareness. Thank you. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so here's the stages of reading development. The first one is alphabetic fluency, emergent literacy, words and patterns, intermediate reading, and advanced reading. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the most critical stage of reading development. The most important stage is when the child shows interest in reading a book. Yet again, as Marizaan said, reading develops over time. But the thing is, you have to expose the learner to quality books. You have to expose the child to quality books. So in my opinion, I feel that you have to choose books that they can relate on. So, for instance, a book about a boy or a girl that's going to school and doing the things that the learner is doing on a daily basis. That will attract them, and they will be more proactive towards reading, and they will, of course, go look for books they will go look for books, and it will be fun. Please, can we go to the next slide? So in my conclusion, print gives color to everything around us that we see as black and white. The world is one big art piece, and the words are the color, and our eyes, the paint. So what I mean with that, I actually don't know whether that is already a quote or something, but I actually thought of it just as I finished this. So what I mean with that is the world out there is a beautiful place if we can make sense of it, and the only way to make sense of it is through understanding the print, understanding where everything fits. So I'm gonna end off with a quote. Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. Margaret Fuller. Thank you, Marizaan, for your time. And yes.